Hi, Sherelle.
Hi.
Very nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again too.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
I'm really glad to hear that. So, we met about a week ago, if you remember, and I want to ask you before we start off, if it's all right with you if I take notes during our session so that I can just remember some of the things that we talk about, names and places and things like
Yeah.
that. That's all right with you? Excellent. So, last session we talked a little bit about why you were here, and do you remember why we're meeting together?
I have a drinking problem, is what people are saying, I guess. And it's kind of affecting different aspects of my life. So,
Right. And if you recall, you did identify, I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being drinking until you passed out, how you felt your drinking was identified as a problem. And you said that it was a 6. So we did kind of identify it as something that we'd like to work on together. And I gave you a little bit of homework last week. We were talking about your family near the end of the session, and I apologize because we ran out of time. And so I told you to think about your family interactions over this past week and how they might be contributing to some of your drinking habits. And so that's kind of what I want to start off with is what are some of the conclusions that you came to about your family interactions?
well, I don't really talk to them much. Like I said, Dad is kind of scary person, and so we don't really talk to him. He works a lot, and it's just kind of known in the family to leave Dad alone when he's at home. Mom, I had some interaction with her, but I mean, for the most part, I don't really talk to people a lot in my family.
You don't talk to your family very much?
Nah,
Now, why do you feel you don't talk to your family very often?
they don't get me. Just no one understands what I'm going through.
So, would you say that you feel like you're uncomfortable talking with mom and dad?
More so scared of Dad. Mom, I think she has a lot going on, so I just don't want to let her know what's going on in my life because she has too much.
Understood. Now, you said that you were scared of your father. Why are you scared of your father when he's at home?
Well, he works a lot, so he's kind of grouchy when he comes home, and he's never physically hit myself or my siblings, but I wouldn't put it past him.
What makes you think that he might hurt you
The way he
physically?
looks, his eyes, they're just, he's not Dad anymore. I don't know who this man is. So.
Who does he become? Tell me about that. When he has that look in his eye, how does that make you feel?
Very standoffish, like you have to walk on eggshells at home when he's around, and you can't have fun because he's yelling at us to be quiet and just not able just to be a teenager.
And how does your mom react when
She doesn't.
she does not react?
Mom is silent just like us. She never sticks up for us. Like that makes me so mad. Like I don't understand.
What would you want your mom to do? You
Take
said that she
take
doesn't stick
me and
up
my
for you.
brother and let's just go. Go far away.
So I'm hearing that you feel unsafe at home, even though there isn't any physical abuse. You just still feel very much unsafe. You mentioned that you're walking on eggshells. Is there anyone else that you can talk to aside from myself about this? Any other family members, friends, people in your neighborhood?
I think last time we talked about this a little bit, and I have no friends anymore. Their parents don't agree with my drinking, and so they don't talk to me because mom and dad don't want them talking to me. And so I kind of just, hang out with the wrong crowd. Are they friends? In the meantime, yeah, they're my friends, but we just drink and party. Not a lot of emotional connection as a friend should.
So I'm hearing that on the surface, you do have people that you can hang out with and spend time with, but that maybe they don't really understand you either. You don't have that deeper connection. And I want to ask you, um, is this something that you've ever brought up with your mother before? Do you feel like maybe you could talk to your mom about this?
I could, but Mom doesn't really talk to us either.
Understood. Would you ever feel comfortable with a group session, not involving your father, but involving yourself and your mother so that I might be able to facilitate some conversation between the two of you?
But what good would that do? If we don't talk at home, why would we talk together with you? You know?
And that's a very reasonable thing to bring up. It was just something that I was thinking about because y'all don't get to talk very much at home. I think it would be very important for you to communicate your feelings to each other. And so I just brought that up as maybe a possibility, maybe a goal that we could talk about in the future.
I mean, if you want to try, go for it. But I
Well,
don't
and it's
really think
not
there's hope.
it's not necessarily what I want to try. I just wanted to run that idea by you and see if that was something that you might want to work on. And if that was something you didn't feel comfortable with, that's absolutely fine. You
Okay.
did mention, you just said though, that you feel like there is hope.
No hope.
You don't feel like there's any hope. And I'm very sorry that you're feeling that way.
Hey, it's okay. I'm used to it now. So,
Well, and I don't want you to become accustomed to feeling hopeless and isolated. We want to work towards hopefully a more positive family interaction.
hmm
Um, so thank you very much for thinking about this over the last week. I can tell that you really put a lot of time into thinking about how your family treats you, treats each other, and kind of how that makes you feel. So I want to bridge your family interactions with your drinking habits. How do you think that your home life affects your drinking habits?
well, I cope with it. I have to drink.
And do you think that that's how do you think that works for you? Do you think it works well?
Yeah, it does actually. It numbs me. You know, I don't really think about what's going on at home anymore. I think about the effects of the drinks. You know, just good to get away and escape.
Right. Now, I want to try just a brief thought experiment, if you don't mind. Um, if you were to wake up tomorrow and your life was exactly the way you wanted it to be, what would that look for you? Like, how would that look?
You know, I don't know. This is normal. Like, I don't know anything else besides how it is. I mean, I guess mom and dad would be more active in my brothers in my life, and they would act like they cared, and mom and dad would still love each other and support us, and I would still be involved in choir and in volleyball.
Now, you said there at the end, you hadn't mentioned love before, and I heard you mention that you feel that your mother and father don't love each other. Um,
Oh, they don't love each other, trust me.
why do you feel that way?
They don't look at each other with love. It's kind of more like, stay away from me. I'm just here to tolerate you for the kids.
How do they look at you?
I know they love us. They don't show it, but I mean, what mom and dad don't love their kids? They just don't show it in the way that most parents do.
So I'm hearing you say that you do feel loved by your mom and dad, is that correct?
Yeah, and yeah,
But I'm also hearing that there might be some tension in the house by you feeling that mom and dad don't love each other.
yeah.
Do you ever feel, or I should say, how does it make you feel when you notice that mom and dad are having these very brief interactions where they don't feel like
It's
your mother and father, they don't feel like they love each other?
awkward,
It's awkward.
uncomfortable.
And how do you deal with that feeling of awkwardness or uncomfortableness?
I drink.
Right? And so I think we have arrived back full circle here, where your feelings of isolation, maybe disconnectedness from your family,
hmm
is contributing directly to your drinking. I'm just looking at the time there. So we are running up at the end of our session here. So I did want to kind of summarize what we had talked about today. So we had talked about your family interactions that you've been thinking about over the last week. You talked about how your father was angry, intimidating, and how your mother was very quiet and didn't really stand up for you. You felt like you want her to stand up for you more. And that's something I'd like to talk about in the future as well. We did bring up the possibility of maybe later on in sessions bringing your mother in so we could facilitate that conversation. And then we talked about how that kind of links up with you using drinking as a negative coping mechanism. We did not get to touch on volleyball and choir, which I think are very, very important things that you had mentioned before, and you had identified them as important in your life. So this week, I would love for you to think about ways that you might be able to get involved in volleyball or choir or something similar. It doesn't have to be those things.
But I told you they hate me.
Who is
They don't. They don't want me there.
Oh, your volley. Do you mean your volleyball team and your choir mates? And I think that you had also mentioned that their parents were involved in kind of keeping their kids away from you because they felt that.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about that more. I want to know how that makes you feel and how we can work towards amending
It actually makes me more emotional, so I don't know how much of that I can actually take.
Understood. Well, if that's not something you feel comfortable thinking about and talking about, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Remember, I am here at the school, so if you want to come in and we can kind of work through it together briefly, that's just fine.
Okay.
But I'll see you next week.
Okay.
We can think more about this then,
Thank
okay?
you.
Thank you very much. Take care.